Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to Animaking 3. And I'm back with part 2 of What If Naruto broke his chakra limiter, essentially giving him unlimited chakra, guys. If you're new and this is the first time hearing my voice, don't forget to share to all your friends in social media platform and get this one to 100 like as usual, and I'll be posting the other part as soon as possible. And if you're new, yes, I indeed have 3 more channels that I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy. All of the link to my other channels will be down in the description, so go ahead and check them out and become a part of the Animaking family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. So without further ado or wasting more time, how about we jump right into this brand new episode? Let us begin now, guys. So, a bit of a recap to the last part that we left off. A young boy known as Naruto Uzumaki was heading to the tallest tree within the forest so that he could see the firework from where he was. He had no idea why the villagers treated him the way they did. They went out of their way to ignore him. They even told their children not to play with him. So he didn't really have any friends his age. However, he did have his Gigi though. And the ramen family, they were always nice to him. However, on his way there he was attacked by a giant centipede. While most people would be freaking out, he simply jumped to the sky and hit it with a punch that completely knocked it out. A long time ago, when he was just born, his father, Minato Namikaze, made an error in what he was doing. A simple mistake that would change everything forever, causing the permanent seal that he was placing on the boy to rupture his system, breaking his connection and breaking his limit on his chakra, allowing his body to produce it and submerge every single cell of his body with chakra, basically giving him unlimited chakra, a phenomenon that could only happen 1 in a billion. So the boy, having no idea about this, thought that it was normal. As most people that he read in a book, they have chakra as well, so he figured that all of them were as strong as him when he uses chakra. He met a friend. His name was Shikamaru Nara. At first Shikamaru didn't want to be bothered, but Naruto was rather insistent. When Shikamaru saw what he could do, he was rather surprised, yes, not expecting that. However, Shikamaru was extremely lazy, not wanting to be caught up in anything, so he did not say much about it. Naruto also met Shino. He also met Choji as well. When he finally started the academy, everyone was so obsessed, all the girls, about Sasuke Uchiha, as Naruto did not see what the big deal, because Sasuke was always ignoring them. However, he tended to not show himself up that much either, as he just watched, hoping that he could make more friends like Shikamaru and Choji, and Shino as well. Kiba was acting like he was top dog, but Naruto simply chuckled when he spoke, as his intimidated face did not rub off on the way that he thought it would on Naruto. When the time finally came for them to have a sparring session, Naruto proceeded to step out on the field, as Sasuke was nearby as well. He was called as they did the hand sign. When Sasuke was attacking him, as Naruto sent chakra to every part of his body, Naruto believed that Sasuke was toying with him, believing that he wasn't strong enough, so Naruto let all hell broke loose, releasing his chakra to the max, but there was no limit, so it wasn't stopping, it was just getting more and more powerful. He ended up destroying a large part of the academy by releasing his chakra as they took form, wiping away everything around him. Hiruzen and his envoys arrive on the scene, calming Naruto down as he realized what he did. As Naruto was taken to a chakra specialist, the man had a hard time explaining it. Not even a seal on Naruto's stomach was showing up. They believed that Naruto could not hear them, so they spoke about the nine tails that was sealed inside of him. The man told Hiruzen that the boy chakra didn't have a cap on it. Think of it as a reservoir that just keep on refilling the more you use it. It was literally unlimited. Hiruzen was rather shocked to hear that. However, he had to call in for outside help. Reason being, almost all of the students told their parents what happened, and there was an entire group of academy parents and friends wanting the boy to be removed from the school. They say that he was always a trouble, first to them and what he did to the village and now to their children. They didn't want that. Hiruzen had no choice as he could not take the favor of one over many, knowing the backlash would be rather severe. However, he had an idea. Feeling bad though as he had to remove Naruto from the academy, something that he's wanted for so long now. As he's already calling for someone though. However, when Hiruzen arrived that night, Naruto was gone, leaving behind a letter explaining why he did what he did. Sending Chakra to his ears when they were talking, Naruto overheard their entire conversation and he realized that he couldn't forgive someone that killed his precious people. So it didn't matter what he did. Every time they saw him, they would simply see a monster. So he ran away. He ran away, leaving the land of fire. Given his rather unlimited reserves, he kept on running and running and running and running and running and running and running until he found himself in a cave. However, he was cold. But his chakra then took form and started to heat him up, creating a hollow wave around his body as heat. Naruto was rather surprised. He stepped outside making his way when he was attacked by wolves. Naruto expanded the flames and burned them, the others running away. However, he lit the forest on fire. He started to think about water next, and his chakra took form of water. Unlike most people who say that chakra was a living force, his seemed to be actually alive as Naruto outed the flames. Learning that he could do almost limitless things, it was at his imagination. As he went to sleep that night after eating some ramen, he had to get some kind of work so that he could pay for stuff to eat and to live. He didn't know where he was going, but he just had to keep on moving. Hopefully that he would find something or people that accept him very soon. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, you guys can switch across the play check of yourselves to be in this new episode. We begin this episode with Jiraiya as he was looking at a file. The Toad Sage of Mount Miyaboku as he looked at Hiruzen, his sensei. But this is impossible, he said. That is what I thought before I saw it as well. However, you had to be there to experience it to know that it is not. And all the testing, they came out all the same. Jiraiya was unable to believe it. Never, as he heard of anyone having no cap on their chakra limit. That shouldn't be possible. Everyone was designed to run out eventually. Using up too much. Being exhausted. Having to wait until your chakra recover. Something like this shouldn't be possible, but from what Hiruzen is telling him, it seemed like it is. Now you understand the severity of why this must be kept a secret. Hiruzen said, as the room was currently being protected by silencing seals. Not even the envoys were inside. This was a secret that he can only trust Jiraiya with. No one else. As the implications hit the Sannin like a wave. If anyone got their hands on Naruto, if information about him leaked, if anyone even found him, and Naruto attempt to fight back if anyone tried to take him, they would realize. And if another village was to get their hand on him, a child that possessed a limitless amount of chakra, he could already see bloodshed and chaos. He could already see entire nations falling. That is why I need you to find him and bring him back. Given all that he's been through, and now just finding out about what he contains, he believed that the people here would never trust him, that they will never see him as someone they could rely on. He doesn't believe that there's a home for him here anymore. I need you to find him and convince him otherwise. I have no idea where he went or how far he's gone, but given that he doesn't have a limit, you can understand how far he might have reached. I need you to search every crook all over the Fire Nation and beyond until you find him and bring him back. We cannot allow him to fall into the wrong hands and be used for other purposes, because what will follow is something that none of us will be able to stop. Jiraiya nodded rather seriously, understanding how important this was. He would be leaving out immediately to go and begin his search. He would search through the entire land of fire first, before spreading out. Unlike most people, he had a rather vast network that he could use. However, he couldn't afford for certain information to slip about Naruto, so he had to play this immensely careful. However, beyond the land of fire, crossing the ocean, there was a village not too far off from the land of water. It was actually on one of the many islands that surrounded the land of water, but not too close. After all, there was a current big problem going on at the land of water. This village was known as the land of wave, as there was a few men situated on a bridge. The one that was currently leading these men was a man known as Tazuna. Every day, his workers get less and less, as the rise in fear and problems that they were facing was causing some of them to flee away from the responsibility of helping him build this bridge, as they were working on creating a rather large bridge that would help them out of the problem that they were currently facing. Some time ago, a tyrant docked on their place, a man known as Gato. Ever since, he has been using his connection as a toll to make them pay, and his prices were ridiculous. However, erecting this bridge, they could use it so they wouldn't have to pay to get across by him, so they wouldn't have to pay to do their businesses. And day by day they were losing. Day by day the economy of the land of wave was falling. And if something is not done soon, he was afraid that the problem would get a lot worse. His son-in-law has already been threatened with death because he had stand up to the oppressors that believe they own the land of wave. The daimyo was nowhere to be found. Going to his castle, yes, that was a word to describe it. He lived in a rather hectic mansion. He was not there. However, Gato people were there. They could only imagine what happened to him, as they realized that they were being surrounded on all angles. Tazuna just needed to finish the bridge as quickly as possible so that he could get his people out of this, hoping for the best. Hi there. Tazuna almost jumped out of his skin, so deep in thought he did not hear or see anything. As he turned around holding on to his chest, there was a young boy standing behind him. Blonde hair, strange markings on his cheeks, and blue eyes. Tazuna had seen all the kids within the village, but it wasn't just that though. This boy features really stand out. "Who are you?" he said, looking towards a small child. Naruto tilted his head looking behind the man. "Just someone looking for work. How about I help you guys out and you pay me," said Naruto. The man looked at him and chuckled slightly. "A nice offer, kid, but you're a bit too young to be doing these kind of stuff." "Think so, huh?" said Naruto. "Well, watch and see." As Naruto stepped forward, "Hey, wait," Tazuna said, not wanting the kid to get injured. But Naruto had already moved off, sending Chakra down to his legs and arms Naruto walked over to one of the planks and raised it with one hand, shocking everyone that stood there. He then placed that down and went to one of the metal support beam that took at least 4 of them to lift. As he lifted that with both hands right over his head, all the working came to an utter stop. As Tazuna made his way, followed by the other workers. How did you do that? Tazuna said, looking towards the young boy. Are you a ninja or something, he said, surprised they came at such a young age. Naruto placed a hand to his lips. It's a secret, he said. So, can I help out? Tazuna was a bit weary though, thinking that this could perhaps be a trap laid by Gato. However, he looked at the boy, and he didn't know why, but there was something saying that this boy could be trusted. But should he really trust his instincts, put his man and his family on the line and his village? They could use the help given the reducing numbers, but still, I'll take that as a yes, given that you're still in shock, said Naruto. So he said, rubbing his hands together, what do you want help with first? Time skip. Tazuna was rather secured in believing that Menma was trying to help them. That is the name the boy gave them. His name was Menma. Naruto knew that if he told them his real name, information about him might spread, and it'd be rather easy for people to come after him. He had no idea the repercussions that would follow with him leaving the Hidden Leaf village. At the end of the day, they got so much work done it was shocking, and it was all thanks to this boy. He was rather secretive, not giving much about his past. However, Tazuna saw the look in his eyes. Every time something was mentioned about his past, either he was running away from something or something so bad happened that he just could not look back to face his past. He actually felt sorry for the kid. Something was up. But the more they spoke, the more he come to trust him. Not to mention, he was helping the bridge advance rather quickly. So Tazuna believed that he was here to help. At the end of the day, Naruto promised that he would be back tomorrow before he headed off. As Tazuna was shocked how fast he moved, leaving the area, he decided to follow, just to see the boy's intentions. Upon making his way, he was stopped by Kaisa. He was rather surprised. What are you doing all the way up here? He asked. There was a herd of wolves attacking the nearby farm. I thought I might put up a few things to scare them off. I'm guessing that you're here about the boy. Wait, you know him? I actually met him a couple days ago. That is when he was passing through. It seems like he ended up in your hands. More than that, he's been helping out on the bridge. That kid has strength of 10 grown men, able to lift a support beam right over his head. Yeah, he is special. I could see that from the moment I met him. However, he has a rather troubled past, something that he's not willing to divulge to anyone. But he is a good kid though. I figured that he was hunkered down somewhere around here, but I haven't seen him. As they scanned the area, glancing towards a massive cave over there. I wonder, Kaisa said. I knew that the kid was a bit strong, but you really think that he could? There was a massive boulder that was in front of the cave. Perhaps he was inside. The walk leading up to said cave was quite a long distance. However, Tazuna was glad to know that at least Kaisa met him, knowing that he had a good judge of character. Speaking about Gato, things were getting bad. The man has just recently showed up, and he started to already show his cards. Soon enough he will make a move, a very big one. Tazuna was afraid that the bridge would not be completed by that time, and the man was going to do something very dangerous when he see that they were trying to get around his taxes by building the bridge. Granted, if he hadn't already figured out. However, Kaisa refused to allow him to do anything to the village or anyone there. especially with the woman that he's come to fall in love with, and her son that look up to him so much. He won't let either of them down. Time skip the next day. After another day of work, Tazuna invited Naruto to get a home-cooked meal, realizing that the boy was probably not eating enough. Naruto was surprised to hear that, to how nice he was, as Naruto got introduced to his daughter Tsunami, a beautiful woman that was so nice. He never had something like this before. The feeling to know that you had a mother. She also had a 3-year-old boy, pretty smart for his age, rather talkative, wanting to know a lot about Naruto, especially when his grandfather told him that Naruto was extremely strong. He wanted to see for himself. Shocked when Naruto lifted him off the ground with just one hand, despite him being rather small. As Naruto and him started to hang out, Tsunami was questioning Tazuna on where the young boy was from. All he could tell her was his name was Menma and he was extremely strong. That was all, nothing more. She also questioned her grandfather about Kaisa. If he saw him today, he said he would have dropped by, but the night was brushing up and she hadn't seen him. However, Tazuna waved it off, sure that he was fine. The next day, Naruto headed out with Tazuna, once again thanking him for his hospitality, not to mention for paying him for doing his job, despite that being a requirement still. However, Naruto was glad that he was able to actually find some work. As they were making their way, Naruto started to speak to the man. I was actually wondering about something. It's about the numbers. Numbers, Tazuna said, looking towards him. Yeah, don't you think the bridge would be done a lot faster if more people would be there to help? Well, that would be a blessing, but things aren't looking so good right now for most of the people there. And production is slowing down because of the numbers. While you've been a wonderful help, there are certain things that you need help on telling what to do. And if I have more experienced men, things would go a lot faster, he said. However, you've been a blessing from the skies. He chuckled. It would be done a lot faster if I had more of you, he said. You know, that's exactly what I was thinking about, said Naruto. What do you mean, Tazuna said. As Naruto came to a stop, I heard a girl in the class that I once attended ask the sensei about, what was it again? Oh yeah, clones. Creating clones that could help you. But the sensei said that the clones are not physical. But I wonder if I could make them physical. Tazuna realized that the boy was opening up to him because he didn't even know anything about what he was talking about. I just have to use more chakra, right? To make it physical and not, well, just an illusion. I think I remember the hand sign, said Naruto. As he started to mimic what Iruka had done, he didn't exactly do it, he just showed them. Naruto performed the hand sign, but he did not do it exactly right. And not to mention, he used at least 10 jonin worth of chakra. Something abnormal started to happen. Naruto's hands started to get large. His chest started to expand. Tazuna started to freak the hell out as Naruto started to grow. However, the next moment he released all the chakra. What the hell was that, he said, looking freaked out himself. How the hell should I know, Tazuna said. You're the one that did it. I feel like I was going to explode. Well, you know what they say. The second time is a charm. Tazuna placed a hand over Naruto's hand. Maybe you shouldn't do that again until you get some proper understanding of what you're doing. It might take us some time, but we will get it done. So don't worry about it, he said. Alright, old man. Hey, I'm not that old. Well, you're a lot older than me, said Naruto, as they made their way. Damn brat, said Tazuna. Later that night, as they were heading back, Tazuna was more than welcoming to invite Naruto once again. Tsunami realized that the boy was all alone. No one deserved to be alone like that, especially a child. She would hate the thought of knowing that her Inieri was alone without anyone. so she was more than welcome to have him over once again. However, as they were heading back, they came across a rather nasty situation. Yes, Gato was making his move. One of the nearby restaurants were being ripped apart by a few thugs. There was 5 of them in total. The owners outside, cowering in fear, as they could not stand up to them. They had weapons and they were strong. Each of them were at least 6 feet tall, packing on muscles to imitate their prey. Tazuna immediately moved toward the scene, Naruto following behind him. When they lay eyes on Tazuna, they smirked. "I thought we asked for better service," one of them said. Tazuna clenched his fists as they raised their weapons, one of them having a club in his hand. He used it to smash down on the table. "Enough," said Naruto, stepping further, showing himself as they started to laugh, thinking that he was a joke. "Well, I'll give it to the kid," one of them said. "At least he has the gall to stand up and actually try something." "Well, something rather stupid," another one said. "Run along, brat, before you get hurt." 5 seconds. "That is all I'll give you to leave. Otherwise, I'm gonna hurt each and every one of you," said Naruto, cracking his knuckles. These people were nice, and they did not deserve this. They looked towards each other and smirked. The one with the club stepped forward. "We warn you, brat. This is what happens when you don't listen." Tazuna stepped forward, but Naruto stopped him by raising his hand. The club came swinging down towards Naruto's head. The owner wife screaming for someone to do something. The man wanting to do something to save his restaurant, to protect the kid that tried to stand up for them, but the fear of losing, the fear of dying, it was something these people weren't used to, and it was a bit overwhelming. When Naruto caught the club though, everyone was shocked. Mortified, he simply caught it in his hand. The man tried to pull it back, however Naruto dug his fingers into it. Everyone was shocked. Naruto then yanked down on it, causing the both of their heads to collide. The force sent the man right on his butt. The other 4, realizing this kid was tougher than he looked, rushed forward. Naruto flipped, jumping over a swinging blade as he landed right on the flat side. He spun and delivered a brutal kick to the man's face, sending him crashing on the ground. The other one tried to stab Naruto with a dagger. Naruto weaved underneath it and flipped through, rolling through the man's leg as he jumped. He then kicked him in the back, causing his face to hit the ground hard. The other 2 rushed at each side and swing. Naruto flipped into the sky. He landed right on top of their heads. They tried to grab his feet, but he jumped off. The moment he hit the ground, he sprung back up, punching the both of them in the back, causing them a great amount of agony. They collapsed on the ground as Naruto stood there, his arms folded. "I said leave," he said. Immediately they started to scamper away. Knowing they stood no chance and they would simply be pummeled, they ran, running away. Everyone was shocked. The owner could not believe what he just saw. However, while that was going on, Kaisa was having the life beaten out of him. 2 men that stood at 7 feet tall, immensely large and muscular, brought down sledgehammers on him as they repeatedly bashed at his hands. They beat him brutally. As standing there was none other than Gato. He thought his presence alone might make them understand that there was no hope. But it was time that he made his move. As he turned towards his right hand, both of them, he pulled a blade out and got to work. Kaisa's screams were the only thing that could be heard. Back at the village, the owners were thankful, but they were also worried that they might have put Menma on a hit list, and they didn't want him to get hurt because of them. However, Naruto told him that he would be fine, also telling Tazuna despite the man being serious and telling him how dangerous Gato was. that he will help them, as they were nice and they did not deserve this, so he would help them. Tsunami was worried. Having not spoken to Kaisa, she started to speak to others, seeing if they saw him, but no one did. Now Tazuna started to get a bit worried. Kaisa never stayed away for so long. He would have to gather a search party. Give it a few more hours, they would begin in the morning. Iniri was also getting worried as he heard them talking. However, Tazuna assured him that everything would be fine, as Naruto took him outside so they could hang out. The next morning though, everyone was alerted. Someone came rushing down toward the two-story house. The whole family made their way out. There was a tiny island that was across from where they were, fully able to see from the distance. There was a massive gated fence. It cut them off from the area. Standing there was Gato, the two massive thugs that he had. One of them placing down the massive thick piece of wood. Tied up on it, without any arms, was Kaisa. Immediately tears came to Tsunami's eyes. Iniri as well, remembering the words that Kaisa told him, that he was going to protect them all. And they were not alone, there were two others with blades, and 5 others standing behind the crew. As Gato stepped forward with a smile, "It seems you people don't understand," he says. "My intentions were made clear in my eyes, but you still believe that there is another option. As for you, bridge builder, I have no reason to claim your life. Your protector here that told me that he would fight to protect the village with his last breath is all I need to show you what will happen to your people if you break my rules and continue to build that bridge. This will be the first of many if you continue. The first execution for breaking my rules." Iniri cried out as Tsunami held on to him, unable to contain her own tears. That is when a violent tremor shook the entire land and the one beyond them. Everyone was shocked as they looked around. "What the hell was that?" Gato said. The crowd parted away as Naruto was losing it. His eyes filled with so much rage. He couldn't understand. How could someone be so cruel? How could someone be so wicked? He met that man. The man was so nice. He spoke to him for quite a while he was on his journey. He was an innocent person. He saw what the others were doing to that shop, but they didn't try to hurt anyone but him. But why? Why would this man do this to all of these people? What have they ever done to him? How could people be so wicked? How could people be so cruel? To not only think of another suffering, but to cause it. What kind of monster would do something like that? His chakra started to hit the ceiling and break through it. Naruto took to the sky with a jump. He kicked off the very air itself, rocketing towards the island. When Naruto landed, he destroyed the small front section of it, power oozing out of him like steam. Gato stepped back as his 2 large guards stepped forward. They swung their mallet at Naruto with the intention to crush him. However, Naruto zooped past. That was all that Gato could see, a blazing blue light of energy. Naruto was now standing behind the tied-up Kaisa. He held his hand out as water started to gather around him. He thrust his hand towards the ropes, slicing them, the water tearing through it. As he caught Kaisa, he held the man with a surprising amount of ease. It was rather shocking given his size. "Run away," Kaisa said, not wanting the kid to get hurt for him. Naruto slowly placed him on the ground as Gato shouted at his men, the both of them, pulling their swords, trying to slice Naruto's head off. "Don't worry," said Naruto. "Everything's gonna be just fine." His chakra erupted as arms start to gather around his body, made from pure chakra alone. The first two were grabbed. They tried to cut it, but they could not. They were too weak. The hands then slammed them together with such force. The ear vibrated. It then squeezed them with one hand and launched them beyond the sight of anyone here. Perhaps they crashed in the sea a far distance away, but there was a low chance that they would survive that even after getting crushed, to the point their legs were broken and their arms were shattered as well. They wouldn't be able to swim. The last two, given their size, believing that they were still superior, despite the power coming from Naruto. And it was rather simple why. They were idiots. Despite what they felt, they didn't understand. They were just musclehead with strength. As they attacked, Naruto jumped and punched the first mallet, shattering it into 100 pieces. The other one grabbed Naruto. However, the arms slowly extended and pushed his hand apart. It then grabbed onto him and lifted him. It brought him down on his identical brother, crushing them down into the earth. Naruto picked the both of them up before releasing them. He then thrust his own fist forward, the arms mimicking what he did. However, they multiply by 10. The both idiotic brothers scream, the force slamming from head to toe into them. It was violent. They were launched into the sea as well. The other man started to back away in absolute fear. Gato himself was terrified as Naruto started to approach him. What have they ever done to you? What kind of man are you? Coming here and hurting these poor, defenseless people. And just because they can't fight you back, just because they cannot repel you, you believe that it's okay. Just because you have money, power, strength in numbers. Well, if they can't do anything about it, then I will do something. Naruto said as he made up his mind. I won't allow you to hurt anyone else. It doesn't matter what I'll have to do. Naruto held his hand out. His chakra started to swamp the entire area. Kaisa was picked up in a small bubble, a water bubble as he floated in the sky. Gato started to run away as Naruto chakra spread to the water, moving and commanding it under his will. The entire section of the ocean rise, everyone stepping back in shock as Naruto brought it all down. Such incredible amount of force right upon the entire small island. The collision was violent, disturbing, chaotic. The entire small island was ripped asunder, leaving nothing in its wake. Everyone trying to see. Inari and Tsunami looking, trying to find Kaisa and Naruto. However, Naruto was in mid-air inside of the bubble that Kaisa was in. The man wasn't going to make it. His condition was severe. It was bad. There must be something I can do, Naruto said, looking him over as Kaisa was struggling to talk. Tell them I love them all, he said. Tell them yourself, Naruto said. I won't allow you to die. When Naruto made contact with his chest, Naruto felt something. In that moment, Naruto's eyes turned completely white. No pupil. What is this? Where am I? Said Naruto. As he could not feel his hands, he could not feel his legs. He couldn't feel anything. It felt like he was just floating. Like he was everything and nothing at once. That is when Naruto saw Kaisa. As Naruto saw Chakra surrounding where his arms once were. Naruto held his hand out and started to graft the chakra in the spot, molding the fingers, somehow building nerves and muscles and tissues. He could feel it all. He was not doing this on his own. He was connected to something. When Naruto opened his eyes, not only was Kaisa fully healed, but his arms had been miraculously brought back. Kaisa looked down. As he touched his face, he touched all over himself to see if he was dreaming. As he looked at Naruto, how did you do that? He said. I have no idea, said Naruto. As Naruto and Kaisa returned to the people, all of them were looking at him like he was some kind of god. Before they erupted in cheers, as he stopped what would have been a horrendous activity from the incoming virus that was Gato. As Iniri hugged him, Tsunami hugged him, the people were so happy. This wasn't something that Naruto was used to. Despite just killing someone for the first time, actually feeling welcome, knowing that they wanted him here, it stirred emotions inside of him that he never thought he would ever feel, as he felt so happy. Time skip. The bridge was coming along nicely. Yes. However, Naruto could feel it the moment someone stepped within the village parameters. This person was not normal. They had a lot more chakra than your average ninja. More than even your average jonin. As Naruto decided to investigate, seeing the man, Naruto was rather surprised. He saw that face before, but where, he thought. As he tried to rack his brain, he racked his brain intently. He then remembered where he saw it. It was in the book. Yes, in the book. When he was trying to understand what chakra was. That man was in the book. It wasn't just him alone though. The Hokage was there as well, along with a blonde-haired girl and another pale-skinned individual. They were younger, but still it was him. He was from Konoha. Immediately Naruto ran away, intending to hide. Jiraiya, walking through the village, he was scouting for information. He had a photo of Naruto, of course. A photo that he wouldn't allow to get out of his grasp. As he was asking around, not saying Naruto's name. However, the people kept silent. None of them said anything about knowing him, as they did not know who this was. Having no idea who Jiraiya was, this wasn't a ninja village after all. And they were not sure why he was after Menma, so they wouldn't say a single word. Jiraiya went all over, before he decided to continue on his journey, in his search for Naruto. Making his way, Tazuna found Naruto after all of it died down. Glad that the people did not say anything because Naruto was hiding. As he had made his way back up to the cave, Tazuna struggled to make his way up there. The walk was long, and the climbing part, he was tired. That is when he asked Naruto what was going on. Naruto trusted the man as he told him that his real name was not Menma but Naruto Uzumaki. He told him what happened briefly, why he had to leave, because there was something that was linked with him that would make everyone in his village hate him. Tazuna told him that he was welcome to stay here, as no one in the village said a single word. They would keep his secrets. They would not tell a single soul. It didn't matter if they had to hide him from Konoha, that is said to be one of the strongest nations. Naruto felt like he was going to tear up hearing that. However, Tazuna questioned Naruto's last name, confused about that as Naruto didn't quite understand. That is when Tazuna went back with Naruto with Jiraiya being gone. He brought out an old book. It was something that he had came across some time ago. He also knew the story as well, the Uzumakis, a clan that was eradicated a couple years back. Naruto was shocked, having no idea that his name was linked to a clan. Tazuna told him all that he knew. The island was actually not too far away from here. Well, by boat. Naruto was shocked. No idea about his history. No idea about his parentage. Tazuna could see that the boy wanted to understand. He wanted to know. After all that he's done for them, Tazuna didn't feel like it was right to hold him back from achieving what he wanted. So they came together. As they put a few things together, food, money. To make sure that he was safe on his trip, they gave him a map where the once island of Usu, the land of Whirlpool, was located. They had no idea what he would find there, as none of them has ever been there before. However, this clan was linked to him. If he was a Uzumaki, maybe there could be something that Naruto found there that explained to him about his heritage, about who he was, something that he was severely lacking. As Tazuna gave Naruto the book, much of it did not make sense to him. However, Naruto was worried about leaving them high and dry with the bridge. Tazuna simply pat him on the head and told him that they would be able to handle the rest. Not to mention, with Gato now gone, the support was larger than before. So the next morning, Naruto packed up, having a tearful goodbye in nearest Nami Tazuna, the old man not wanting to cry. But he was going to miss the kid, but Naruto promised that he would return. And he doesn't really break promises. Every single person in the village came to say goodbye, promised that they would never breathe a word to anyone about him being here or where he was going. Naruto thanked them all before departing on his journey, making his way. They gifted him with a small boat, as Naruto had no qualms with rowing. With the amount of chakra that he could constantly pump into his veins, there was no problem at all as he continued on and on and on and on. He had literally swim here, yes. To cross the land of fire ocean, he had swim here, so this was much better. After a few days at sea, Naruto was getting rather bored, and the sky was darkening, not because of night, but it seemed like rain was going to pour down anytime soon. As he continued to row, having slept on the boat, the water was calm, there was no problems out here. As Naruto continued on, he saw a small island up ahead, deciding to dock for the night, not wanting to get washed out by the rain. As Naruto tied up the boat with the rope that he had, slamming it down on the island, a massive pick to keep it there. The island was a decent size, filled with trees and all sorts of things. Trees with fresh and healthy fruit. He decided to get some on his journey. There was a lot of it. Going through, Naruto saw all kinds of beasts. There were tigers. There were wild hogs, monkeys, all sorts of creatures. The place was filled and lush with this wonderful feeling of nature. As Naruto continued to walk and make his way, he found a strange fruit, having no idea what it was. However, when he bit into it, it was a bit sour, so he dashed it away. Unknowingly that wasn't meant for a human. It was poison, but inside of Naruto's body, as the poison was trying to infect him, his chakra worked as a shield, eradicating all of the life of the poison that was trying to course through his system, similar to what happened with Kaisa. His chakra seemed to be moving in a way to help him. It helped him restore Kaisa's hands. The man had been eternally grateful to him, thankful that he allowed him to live so that he could be with his family. He too told Naruto that he was welcome back here anytime. He would always have a home in the land of Wave, which made Naruto incredibly happy. As Naruto slept that night, waking up to the bright rays of sunshine the next morning, as he went on his boat and headed off, having enough supplies, having enough food and clothing, he continued on his search. As he pulled out his map, he was on the right track. However, The water below started to grumble and move. Wait, move? Naruto's eyes widened as something smashed through his boat. As he was shocked, people do not tend to stray this far in this area ever since the demise of the Uzumaki clan. There were things out here that people has not come across, and it was good that they did not. After all, a strange serpent erupted from the water. A mutation of some sorts or whatnot. The beast was large, towering over Naruto as he was inside water. It had fangs like a snake. It descended down towards him to swallow him whole as Naruto jumped out of the water. It used its body and slammed into him, throwing Naruto away. He skipped along the water like a stone. This thing wasn't a wild, idiotic beast. It had sense. As it dived underneath, it moved with such incredible speed. The moment it saw Naruto came to a stop, it launched, its mouth open wide to swallow him whole. That is when Naruto's eyes snapped open. Chakra surrounded Naruto as the thing chomped down. However, the chakra arms kept the mouth open. Naruto held his hand out as he gathered as much water chakra he could in his hand. The water around him also swirled as well. Naruto then thrust his hand out to the thing's mouth. He pumped and pumped and pumped and pumped when the thing tried to pull away. The chakra arms gripped it tightly as Naruto kept on pumping and pumping and pumping. Using both of his hands now, the thing started to swell and swell and swell and swell until, boom, its body erupted, the force throwing Naruto back. Right as he thought that he was out of trouble, Naruto heard something behind him as two red eyes opened up. When Naruto turned around, the teeth that he saw were larger than him. One of the teeth were larger than him. His eyes went wide. Time skip. Naruto pulled himself on the island. Everything was lost. He was attacked by 3 more of those things, each of them larger than the other one. Not to mention he got sucked up in a whirlpool. It ripped at his skin and tore him rather badly. If he didn't heal fast, he would have been dead. However, he destroyed said whirlpool. Naruto could get tired, but it wasn't something that would last for too long, as his chakra could replenish his stamina. So yes, like a food pill, imagine it that way. Naruto pulled himself up. He lost the map, he lost everything. He didn't know where he was. As he started to walk on the sandy shores, making his way, looking around, being on guard just in case this island's of creature that was big like the ones inside of the goddamn ocean. He was pretty sure if he didn't have unlimited chakra, he would be dead right now, as those things would have tore him apart. His shirt was in tatters as Naruto looked down. There was no blood on him. It must have washed away in the water or returned back to his body. One of them had bit him right in the side, not fully because that would have been bad. However, his chakra once again acted as his ultimate defense. When the thing swallowed him, he released almost every ounce of his fire chakra. But it could not finish, so he boiled it from the inside out and cooked it alive. The other ones, he used the very water around them against them. Now he was here. As Naruto walked, seeing nothing, he looked around when his leg suddenly bumped on something. Looking down, Naruto saw something within the sand. As he started to brush it away, Naruto stepped back, surprised. It was a skeleton, a head of one to be quite exact. He turned around to face and wonder, could this? Running forward, Naruto made his way as he saw destroyed walls that had rotten over time, foliage of leaf that had covered them, vines and trees. Making his way, Naruto saw something As he went over and used his hand to clear away everything, that is when he saw the swirl that was on the back of the jacket of the Konoha ninjas. He then remembered what he saw in the book. He was shocked to see it. Naruto was now convinced, but why? Why would Uza have that symbol there on Konoha jackets? What was the connection? Was it him? But why? The old man had never told him who his parents were. Every time he asked, there was always some excuse, a reason for him not to tell him. But now Naruto was getting suspicious. As he walked around, and just walked and walked and walked. However, there was nothing but destruction. Something was wrong though. This place, it had a weird feeling to it. It wasn't something that made him afraid, but something that called out to him. Naruto made his way as he stopped looking around. Seeing nothing, he sent Chakra down to his fists, a whole lot of it before he drove it into the earth, cracking and destroying what was beneath him as he fell. Naruto jumped to the wall. As he jumped from left to right until he landed in pure darkness. When his eyes finally adjusted, there was nothing around. Absolutely nothing at all. He was about to jump back out, however, the place reacted to him. The carvings on the wall were not any normal carvings. They were seals. If anyone else was to come down here, nothing would happen, and they could not break through. Seals that were permanently tied to the very environment, tied to the chakra in the ear. Seals that were ingrained in the very fabric of this place. After all, the Uzumakis were seal masters. Not that Naruto knew that. Suddenly, all the seals on the wall started to glow, creating a perfect replica of the swirl. However, inside of the swirl was integrated seals that number up to the thousands. Seals upon seals upon seals. A strange wave started to scan over his body, like it was reacting to his presence. The next moment, the seals combined together. They ran towards the opposite wall before they shaped out the shape of a door. Naruto was rather confused. Stepping forward as a handle materialized. He grabbed the handle and turned without hesitation. However, he could not see anything. Confused, Naruto pushed his hand as he watched his hand turn invisible. There was something here, but he had to. Naruto stepped through and found himself in a strange place. What the hell? Naruto said, rather shocked, not understanding where the hell he was. The door closing behind him and vanishing. No, said Naruto as he reached, but he fell to the ground. There was nothing there anymore. Looking around frantically, he was in a library. There were books along the walls, books that went high up. There were rooms, intersections. The place seemed like a large maze. Naruto brought his hand to his mouth and shouted, "Hello! Is there anyone here?" he said, trying to locate someone. Unlike normal, he could not feel anything. It was like his senses were all suppressed in this place. Making his way, Naruto kept on moving and walking, trying to find something. However, this place was wonderful. The decor, the light. How was the light even on? Who was powering this, Naruto thought, as he tried to find some wires, something, but he couldn't. As everything seemed just so confusing, he started to panic. What if he was stuck here for the rest of his life? What if he could not leave? That is when he heard it. A low thumbing sound. Slowly making his way, as he arrived towards a large area where there was a boulder. But it wasn't just any boulder though. The boulder was probably as large as a 2-story building. What the hell, said Naruto. He stepped inside as he looked around, trying to find something that would tell him where he was or what was going on. However, the moment he stepped in the field area, the moment his feet touched the ground, the place started to shake. Solid steel doors closed behind him, confusing Naruto greatly. Naruto did not see it, or perhaps he did but he just did not focus. There was a panel on the outside, where the solid steel door was, with a strange Fuinjutsu marker. When Naruto stepped inside, Naruto's eyes widened as he watched the boulder unravel. Yes, you heard that correct, the boulder. It unraveled. Naruto backed away as his back pressed up against the solid steel. The thing unraveled to show a monster made from stone. Its body was ginormous, colossal muscle hands that were made from boulders, legs that crushed the ground as it walked. Naruto couldn't understand. Was he supposed to fight this thing? This was bigger than the monsters that he saw before. Not just bigger, it looked stronger as well, and unlike the others, it had hands. It ran towards him without hesitation, causing Naruto to start freak the hell out. He jumped out of the way. However, its fist never hit the door. A strange barrier erupted, stopping its fist. It turned as the golem raised its leg and brought it down towards Naruto. Naruto jumped right through, moving so that it would not squash him. However, the thing was fast, and given the size of its arm, it completely covered where Naruto was. So he could not pass through it. It's not like it had fingers like normal people. Well, if he couldn't go through it, he would have to punch right through, make his own exit, pumping his chakra to his fists. Naruto's fist started to actually steam slightly. His fist vibrated to the amount of power that he sunk into it. When he finally reached, he swung, causing a violent collision as Naruto blew the thing's entire arm clean off, using at least 10 jonins worth of chakra, and not average jonins. The arm broke into multiple pieces. However, in that moment, Naruto felt something weird when he punched it. He watches the arm reattach itself, the stones coming back together, levitating up to the spot. A massive ceiling array on its back. Now seeing that, Naruto pushed off, using his chakra to suspend himself in mid-air just for a few seconds. The thing turned into a goddamn ball, folding in its arms and legs and spun. It slammed on the ground and shot up towards him. Naruto dodged it as it bounced back. He tried to move, but it came down fast. Luckily, his chakra arms came out and tried to stop it. As Naruto was covered with his chakra at the moment, the thing was grinding against the arms, actually pushing Naruto down. Naruto's legs crashed on the ground as it was bringing so much force. However, Naruto dig deep. The arms started to get larger. It gripped into the stone and smashed it into the earth and lifted up and threw it. Naruto ran and brought both arms down on it, crushing it down to the ground. He then erupted with more power. Instead of arms this time, at least 100 chains made of chakra wrapped around the golem, holding it down as Naruto ran towards its back. Naruto strengthened his fist with so much power as he slammed it right in the seal, causing a violent eruption of energy that threw him away. As the entire place started to glitch out a bit, the barrier falling. As the thing was left a pile of rubble on the ground, Naruto flipped as he landed. "Man, what's next?" he said. He slowly made his way when he heard something as he turned ready to fight. However, when the door opened up, Naruto was shocked to what he saw. Well, not what exactly, who he saw. But guys, we end up so right here. If you want to see next part and do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends and your social media platform. But I'm off for now. See you guys soon. Peace.